In North Carolina, the most significant impact was on the Outer Banks, particularly on Buxton and Hatteras Islands. 5 abandoned homes situated too close to the shoreline collapsed due to erosion accelerated by high waves and extreme high tides. The structures of these homes had long been fragile, but Hurricane Humberto accelerated their destruction. Local authorities in Dare County immediately closed access to parts of Cape Hatteras National Seashore, fearing the collapse of additional structures and potential injury to visitors. In addition to structural damage, coastal flooding posed a significant threat. In Carteret County, sea levels rose 2 feet above normal, flooding major roads and forcing the temporary closure of NC Highway 12. In Brunswick and New Hanover, heavy rains drawn from Imelda's moisture caused flooding in low-lying areas. While the rainfall did not reach the extreme levels of other major storms, the uneven distribution of rain and aging drainage systems exacerbated the situation. Rip currents posed a deadly, hidden threat. Lifeguard reports indicated a significant increase in rescues at beaches like Wrightsville Beach and Emerald Isle. Many tourists were unaware of the powerful undertow created by the interaction of waves from the 2 storms. Warnings had been issued by the National Weather Service, but some visitors persisted in swimming, ignoring red flags flying along the coastline. Meteorologically, the interaction between Humberto and Imelda provided an important lesson in atmospheric dynamics. The Fujiwara effect caused Imelda to move away from the U.S. coast, heading toward Bermuda. This indirectly spared the Carolinas from potentially more extreme rainfall and destructive winds. However, Humberto remained close enough to generate large waves and strong winds that swept the coastline. From a systemic perspective, this event highlighted the vulnerability of long-overlooked coastal infrastructure. Many homes on the Outer Banks were built before modern building standards were in place and are too close to a shoreline that is constantly changing due to erosion and sea level rise. Although some relocation programs were planned, budget constraints and local community resistance to change slowed their implementation. On the other hand, the local government response showed improved coordination compared to previous years. North Carolina emergency management teams moved quickly to close off access to hazardous areas, issue flood warnings, and deploy water pumps to affected areas. However, challenges remain in public communication. Many residents felt information was delivered late or unclear, especially those living in remote areas with limited internet access. Socially, the storm prompted a profound reflection on humanity's relationship with nature. In Buxton, resident Linda McPherson said her family's home, which had stood for 3 generations, was now nothing but rubble. We knew the ocean was getting closer, but we never expected to lose it all overnight, she said, her voice trembling. Linda's story reflects the dilemma many coastal families face between preserving their heritage and facing the reality of climate change. Overall, even though Humberto and Imelda did not make direct landfall in North Carolina, their impacts were still significant. The combination of high waves, coastal flooding, backwash, and structural damage demonstrates that hurricanes don't need to make landfall to cause devastation. Complex atmospheric interactions, systemic vulnerabilities, and social challenges reinforce the urgency of building resilience in coastal communities. This event also serves as a reminder that early warning systems and public education must be improved. Many residents do not understand the dangers of backwash or know how to respond to flood warnings. Community-based education programs, evacuation drills, and disaster simulations can be long-term solutions to improve preparedness. From a policy perspective, state and federal governments need to accelerate coastal relocation and protection programs. Funding for strengthening levees, expanding conservation zones, and building storm-resilient infrastructure should be a priority. Additionally, ecosystem-based approaches such as marsh restoration and coastal vegetation planting can help mitigate the impacts of waves and flooding. North Carolina, with its long history of weathering hurricanes, now stands at a crossroads. The choice is to persist with the old, fragile system, or move forward with a new vision that combines science, empathy, and resilience. Humberto and Imelda have sounded the alarm. It's up to us whether we listen. The September 2025 landfalls of Hurricane Humberto and Tropical Storm Imelda in North Carolina demonstrated that storms don't need to make direct landfall to cause significant damage. High waves, coastal flooding, backwash, and structural collapses provide stark evidence that the indirect impacts of tropical systems remain dangerous and complex. The atmospheric interaction between the two storms through the Fujiwara effect demonstrated increasingly unpredictable weather dynamics, necessitating enhanced meteorological monitoring and analysis capacity. From an infrastructure perspective, the collapse of homes in Buxton highlighted the vulnerability of long-standing coastal structures without adequate structural reinforcement. Coastal erosion accelerated by storm surges hastened the destruction of properties previously considered safe. This reinforces the urgency of reviewing development zones, tightening construction regulations, and accelerating relocation programs for communities on the front lines of risk. Socially, these events raised public awareness of the importance of disaster preparedness and education. Many residents did not understand the dangers of backwash or knew how to respond to flood warnings. This lack of awareness has the potential to increase the number of casualties if a larger storm occurs in the future. Therefore, community-based education programs, evacuation drills, and disaster simulations must be an integral part of risk mitigation policies. From a policy perspective, state and federal governments need to accelerate investments in storm-resilient infrastructure, early warning systems, and ecosystem-based approaches, such as wetland and coastal vegetation restoration. These approaches not only mitigate the physical impacts of storms, but also strengthen the ecological and social resilience of coastal communities. Reflectively, Humberto and Imelda serve as a reminder that climate change has changed the nature of tropical storms. They are forming more quickly, becoming more difficult to predict, and having more widespread impacts. North Carolina, with a long history of weathering hurricanes, now stands at a critical juncture. The choice ahead is between maintaining fragile legacy systems or building a resilient future through science, empathy, and sustainable policies. These events are not simply weather events, but mirrors the challenges of our time. They reveal how the interaction between nature and humans can create complex vulnerabilities while simultaneously opening up opportunities for positive change. Humberto and Imelda have sounded a warning. It is up to us to hear it and act.